Crash is back, baby, and it's about time. Ah, see what I did? After a successful remake of his original 3 outings and a new CTR experience, our boy is back in the spotlight in a brand new game. It's bold to call yourself the official 4th game in the main series after so many years, but boy, Toys for Bob really did just knock it out of the park. I was actually worried it would have too many cutscenes and have too much character and emotional depth. A weird thing to worry about, I know, but the charm of Crash is the simplicity. In this new game, I think Toys for Bob pushed the story just the right amount. It feels bigger than the first 3, and more importantly, it gives the excuse to play new levels. Honestly, the formula is not that different to Crash 2 and 3, with opening and closing cutscenes and character bosses quickly chatting to you now and then before you face them. It's mostly the same, only done to a much higher production standard. There's even a secret completion cutscene. What they did get right the most is Crash's character and animations. This isn't my favourite Crash look, but it's carried by his amazing expressiveness and goofy personality. Right off the bat, our first look at Crash is him sleeping. I love it. I wish every game started like this. It's a throwback to Crash 2 and a bit to CTR. We are Crash, and he's been asleep waiting for us to pick up the controller. Oh, this is not a Crash 4 review, by the way. This is a look at Crash himself and his personality and everything that went into making him who he is. Crash's personality is born out of the limitations of the PS1. Every part of the design was carefully considered. His fur is orange to make him pop out from the backgrounds more and is the reason there is no lava-based levels in the game. They also made his jeans shorter to avoid annoying clipping that would distract the player. This is also why he doesn't have a tail. Everything designed was to make the gameplay clearer and easier for the player. While you mostly run into the screen, the developers made the clever choice of starting every level with Crash facing the camera. This was to make the player identify more with this weird looking fox thing. His face was big to make the character more relatable and allow for far more expressions. Look at most early polygon mascots of the day, they barely emote. Even a lot of PS2 and Xbox games have characters with static faces, but not Crash Bandicoot. The bigger the face the better, especially back in the 90s when smaller resolutions was standard. As for his personality, the limited hardware also had an extreme effect on how he is perceived. A lot of the stories you hear from Jason Rubin is how they wanted him silent in the original game so the player can relate to being him more. Andy Gavin says this as well in his amazing blog on allthingsandy.gavin.com, where he details the making of the first Crash game. But if you read the Crash Bandicoot Bible made by Joe Pearson, one of the 2 artists involved in the creation of the first game, the other being Charles Zambellis, it's clear a silent protagonist is not what they initially planned. What was his original personality going to be though? Dozens of YouTube videos have shown clips of it, often as a joke, to show how off the mark it is from the Crash personality that we all know.
Wow, that was intense! Woo! I just flew in from the New Ruins level and boy are my arms tired! Thank you very much, baby. Thank you very much. That was funny stuff. Wow, funny stuff. Dog, did you see that? Hi, I'm Crash! Crash Bandicoot!
Yeah, that annoying hyperactive character doing awful impressions is the closest thing to the original personality of Crash. In the Bible descriptions of Crash, who was still called Willy at this early stage, we learned he was forced to watch a lot of TV and has this manic energy.
You may remember me from my last adventure where I just, saved the world. You're welcome. And now, I have to do it again. You're just in time to see my new digs.
He was the genie from Aladdin basically mixed with the Tasmanian devil. They say Looney Tunes was a big inspiration to the character, and it's fun that the Disney characters that did influence Crash were on the more Looney Tunes spectrum. Even the choice of the voluptuous girlfriend Tana was based on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. She's the Jessica that Crash is Roger. I'm glad they cut out this fast talking TV addicted element to Crash's personality. I'm sure it could have been funny, but I think it would have just dated the games a lot quicker. There are a lot of pop culture spewing IPs out there, and they have their place, but Crash doesn't need to be one of them. To me, Crash's personality should come from his gameplay, and he gets it across without spewing out one-liners. What really got me hooked as a kid was his death animations. His ability to die funny is what made him endearing. From being burnt to a crisp or falling off a ledge, and seeing his shoes fly up in the air, it took the sting out of losing and made you want to try one more time because you knew you could do it. Even if you couldn't, you would see a silly death and that was worth it. These deaths only got better in 2 and 3, and they may be the only thing lacking in the new 4th adventure, which overuses the angels a bit much. They're still pretty good though. If I were to compare his personality to another fictional character, it would be Wily Coyote. Both have more determination than brains, especially in the case of Wily, who is a super genius.
Wile-E Coyote, super genius.
You root for both because they are trying so hard. They're trying so hard to accomplish their goal, and even though you laugh at their painful deaths, you still want to see them get up and try again and succeed. What Crash has over the Coyote though is that not only is he the hero, he is the player. You're never rooting against Crash. If he were screaming pop culture references all the time, it would get annoying and you would turn against him. A Crash game that does this pop culture kind of energy right, I feel, is Crash of the Titans, particularly the engine levels. As you play, Engine is constantly talking over the audio, and he is funny.
Stop messing my plan up! I spent all day on it! When life gives you lemons, shoot the civilians! That was for Crash Tag Team Racing! My car sucked! I was nerfed!
But the thing is, he can get annoying, and that's okay because he's the bad guy. Crash is silent, so he remains likable as you react to Engine's banter, whether it's in a good or bad way. The other advantage Crash has over the Coyote is he gets to succeed. And he succeeds because you put the work in. It's easy to snuff and say the games are short and easy to beat now, but if you were a kid, these games' primary audience, after fully grown nostalgic 90s kids that is, then playing a Crash game is very hard and challenging to beat, especially to 100% completion. But it can be done, and Crash's expressive personality makes the journey there so much fun. The Coyote must lose so there can be more cartoons, but Crash gets to enjoy the final victory and go back to sleep. Boy, I sure did say a thing or two about a thing or two. Who knows what I might say next? Could be something good. Only one way to find out, and that's by liking and subscribing. Go on, you know you want to.